Welcome back to the deep dive. We always love getting your input for these deep dives, and this one comes straight from you.
That's right. We asked, and you definitely delivered.
You sure did. A ton of you wanted to hear us unpack some of these juicy excerpts you sent our way from the book, Setting the Truth Free.
Juicy is right. There is a lot to dig into here.
Oh, absolutely. And as always, our mission here is to really, cut through to the core of these ideas, see what sparks something, what clicks, what maybe even resonates as a huge aha moment for you listening, especially when it comes to your own journey, that journey of, personal growth and self-discovery. It's something we're all on, right?
Absolutely. And in this deep dive specifically, we're really going to be exploring the author's perspective on, well, on truth with a capital T.
Capital T, truth, that's right.
And to do that, we'll start with this concept of borrowed truth.
Okay, borrowed truth. I like it already.
Right. From there, we're going to trace the steps toward uncovering and, importantly, liberating your truth.
I'm already feeling liberated.
I know, me too. And a big part of that liberation comes through our experiences, our achievements, all those things that make us who we are.
Okay, so we're going from borrowed truth to your truth, uncovering it through our experiences, and then where do we land?
We're going to wrap up by diving into this really profound concept of the ultimate truth, the truth that lies within each and every one of us.
I am so ready for some major aha moments. How about you out there listening? Just think about it for a second. How many of the beliefs you hold so dear, those ideas you just accept as true, how many of those are actually yours, really yours? Or how many have you just, I don't know, kind of absorbed from the world around you without even realizing it?
Right. Like, is it really your truth, or is it something you've borrowed? And if it is borrowed, well, where did it come from?
And what happens when we start to question those borrowed truths? What happens when we start to own our own internal compass, our own unique potential? That's what we're going to unpack today. So let's dive right in, shall we? And we're going to start, like you said, with this idea of borrowed truth. What is it exactly? Break it down for us.
Okay, so borrowed truth, as the book lays it out, is essentially truth that we take on from other people. It's not something we've necessarily come to on our own. It's adopted often during those, really impressionable years, those formative years when we're like little sponges soaking everything up.
Oh, I remember those days.
Right. And those truths, they can come from all sorts of places. I mean, think about it. Family, right? Big one.
Yeah.
Our community, the people we grow up around, even society as a whole. And all these sources, they're often well-intentioned. They're trying to teach us, guide us, protect us even.
Absolutely. But here's the thing, and this is where things get really interesting. The book argues that even those well-intentioned truths, even if they come from a good place, they might not actually be like completely in sync with our own deepest, most authentic selves. It's not that they're necessarily bad or harmful, but they might not be, I don't know, the right fit for us as individuals.
Exactly. It's like, we're given this map, this set of directions for life, and they might get us close to where we need to be. But what if the destination on that map isn't actually where we want to go? What if it's a destination that was chosen for us, not by us?
And that is a really powerful idea because it suggests that all those inherited beliefs, even the ones given with love and care, even those can act as these invisible, I don't know, like ceilings on our potential. Like they're dictating our choices, shaping our lives without us even realizing it's happening on this subconscious level.
Right. We're living out someone else's truth, someone else's expectations, and we might not even be aware of it. It's like we're on autopilot, following a pre-programmed route.
In the book, it gives these really relatable examples of borrowed truth. Things I think we can all relate to on some level. Like that classic belief, if I'm good, nothing bad will happen. How many of us were told that growing up?
Oh, I heard that one a lot, for sure.
Great. Or how about this one? Associating thunder with the old devil and his wife fighting. I mean, come on, that's so vivid.
Such a great image. Totally borrowed, but hey, it's memorable.
It is. And then, of course, there's the whole going to church equals getting into heaven thing, or that long list of childhood rules that basically defined what it meant to be a good person. Do this, don't do that, and you'll be okay.
And, the author's really careful to point out that these examples, they're not meant to be like criticisms of anyone's upbringing or beliefs. It's more about recognizing that this youth truth, as they call it, is just a natural outcome of our conditioning. As kids, we're wired to fit in, to adapt, to make sense of the world around us. So we accept the truths that are presented to us, especially from those we trust and love.
Right. It's like as kids, we don't necessarily have the I don't know, the critical thinking skills or the life experience to question these truths, to see if they really resonate with us.
Exactly. And we're not trying to say that all of these borrowed truths are bad. Some of them might be totally fine. Some of them might even serve us well. But the point is to become aware of them, to examine them, and to decide for ourselves if they're really true for us, for who we are now.
And what really struck me was that the author even talks about how their own childhood, it wasn't like it was dysfunctional or traumatic or anything. They had loving parents, a supportive family.
Yeah, I caught that too.
But even in that context, even with those positive influences, they still recognize how certain beliefs, certain ways of seeing the world were passed down to them. They even mention how their mother, she would share her own truth, her own beliefs in this really believable and loving way.
Right. But the point is, it was still her truth, not necessarily the author's.
Exactly. So it makes you wonder, even if these borrowed truths come from a good place, from people who love us and care about us, could they still be limiting us in ways we don't even realize? Like, could they be holding us back from truly being ourselves, from living our most authentic lives?
It's definitely a possibility. I mean, the book argues that because these truths weren't born from our own direct experiences, from our own internal exploration and reflection, they can kind of linger in the background, operating beneath the surface of our awareness. And that can make it really tough to recognize and embrace our own true, authentic selves as we grow and evolve.
That's a really important point because it's not always about these borrowed truths being harmful or negative in some obvious way. It's more about them not being, entirely ours.
Exactly. It's like we're wearing someone else's glasses. The prescription might be close, it might help us see a little better, but it's not perfect for our own unique vision.
Okay, I love that analogy. It's like we're walking around with this set of instructions for life, but they weren't written specifically for us. And the book also talks about how culture plays a huge role in all of this.
Right.
Like how certain truths get passed down through generations, almost like family heirlooms, without anyone really questioning them.
Oh, for sure. I mean, think about some of those common phrases we all hear growing up. Children should be seen and not heard.
Oh, my grandma used to say that all the time.
Right, or that classic, do as I say, not as I do.
Which, let's be honest, is not always the best advice.
Not always, no. But these sayings, they become so ingrained in our families, our communities, that we often accept them as, like, universal truths. We don't even think to question them.
And the book kind of paints this picture of borrowed truth as having these like really powerful, almost magnetic characteristics. It can be aggressive, insistent, like it demands to be believed. And it can be addictive in the sense that we become reliant on its familiar framework.
Right, it's like this comfort zone we don't want to leave, even if it's not really serving us.
Exactly. And it's undeniably influential. I mean, it shapes how we see the world, how we make decisions, how we relate to others. But ultimately, because it's not truly ours, it can leave us feeling, I don't know, like disconnected, like we're living someone else's life, and potentially stranded when those external truths no longer serve us.
And that's the crux of it. That's why the author is so passionate about this whole idea of setting our own truth free. They want you listening to become aware of any borrowed truths that might be operating in your life. And then they want you to find the courage to liberate your own truth from this stronghold, as they call it. Because if we don't do that, the book suggests, well, there can be some pretty significant consequences.
Like, what are we talking about here?
Well, the book proposes that if we never take that step, if we never set your truth free, we might actually miss out on the fullness of our potential.
That's a scary thought.
It is. We might never achieve those dreams that are truly aligned with our soul, with who we really are at our core.
Right.
We might never fully realize all that we're capable of.
Wow. So it's not just about feeling a little lost or unfulfilled. It's about like really missing the mark on our lives.
Yeah. And on a deeper level, the book even suggests that failing to connect with our own truth can prevent us from experiencing a sense of, I don't know, inherent greatness.
Inherent greatness. Okay, tell me more about that.
It's this idea that we all have this innate spark of divinity within us, this potential for something truly extraordinary. But if we're stuck living out borrowed truths, we might never tap into that. We might never discover that incredible power that lies within.
Okay, so we've identified this concept of borrowed truth, right? And we've hinted at the potential consequences of holding on to it. Now, the book makes this pretty bold statement. Your truth will wage war with borrowed truth. Okay, that sounds a little dramatic. What does that mean? Like, what does this internal conflict actually look like in our day-to-day lives?
Yeah, it does sound dramatic, doesn't it? And I think
Yeah.
it really captures the intensity of this process because It's not always easy to confront those deeply ingrained beliefs,
Hmm.
especially the ones that come from, people we love or respect or authorities we've always trusted.
Right, like questioning those beliefs can feel almost disloyal in a way.
Exactly.
Hmm.
But the author argues that this war, this inner conflict, it's actually a necessary part of growth. It's about recognizing the difference between, on the one hand, borrowed truth, which is often focused on external validation.
External validation. So, like how things appear to others, what
hmm
people think of us, whether we measure up to certain expectations.
Right. And borrowed truth often places a lot of emphasis on material things,
Uh-huh.
like success is measured by how much money you make or what kind of car you drive or how many followers you have on social media.
Okay, I think I'm starting to see where this war comes in. Because it sounds like your truth, on the other hand, is a lot more internal.
Exactly. Your truth is about your own unique thoughts, your core beliefs, your authentic feelings, and how you behave towards yourself and others, regardless of what anyone else thinks or expects. It's about being true to yourself, even if it means going against the grain, even if it means challenging those borrowed truths.
So, this war is really about that tension between our inner reality and the external expectations we've absorbed. And the book keeps stressing that your truth, it's not something we have to go out and find. It's already there, right, inside us, just waiting to be, I don't know, like unearthed, uncovered, set free. It's like
Yeah.
this inherent, authentic part of ourselves that might be getting muffled by all those external voices.
I love that image of it being muffled because that's exactly what it feels like sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Like our own true voice is trying to speak, but it's being drowned out by all the noise of the world around us, by all those borrowed truths. And the author even quotes Nietzsche here, which I thought was interesting.
The philosopher.
The one and only. And Nietzsche said something along the lines of, people don't want their illusions destroyed. And I think that's really relevant here because these borrowed truths, they can create this illusion of safety, of comfort. Even if they're not really serving us, they can feel familiar, predictable.
Right. It's like we cling to them because we're afraid of what might happen if we let them go. What if the world falls apart? What if we lose everything we thought we knew?
Exactly. But the book is basically saying, hey, it's time to let go of those illusions. It's time to face the truth, even if it's uncomfortable at first.
Because ultimately, it's in that truth and that authenticity that we find our freedom.
Exactly. And the book argues that this your truth, this authentic self, it becomes the foundation for developing those really core qualities that make us, well, good humans.
Mm.
Things like integrity, genuine charity, real humility, a strong personal faith, and a clear sense of purpose. It's like when we're aligned with our deepest truth, those virtues just flow naturally.
Okay, I love that. So it's not just about feeling better about ourselves or being more successful. It's about becoming better people, more whole, more in tune with our values.
Right. And the author even brings up this biblical passage, 1 Corinthians 13:11,
Yeah.
the one about putting away childish things when we become adults. And they interpret that as a call to examine those borrowed truths we picked up in our youth, to ask ourselves, are these still serving me? Do they still resonate with who I am now?
Because let's face it, what worked for us as kids, those beliefs that maybe protected us or helped us navigate the world when we were younger, they might not be what we need as adults.
Right, like we're constantly growing, evolving, changing. So it makes sense that our truths would evolve too.
And apparently, holding on to borrowed truth, well, it can really hold us back. The book says it can prevent us from fully recognizing and embracing our own unique gifts and talents.
I mean, think about that for a minute. How many times have you doubted yourself? How many times have you told yourself you're not good enough, not smart enough, not talented enough?
Oh, all the time.
Right. And what if those are just borrowed truths whispering in your ear? What if those are just limiting beliefs that you've picked up along the way and never questioned?
That's mind-blowing because it suggests that maybe, just maybe, we're actually way more capable than we think we are, but we're holding ourselves back because we're listening to the wrong voices.
Exactly. And the book also points out that holding on to borrowed truth, it robs us of time and energy that we could be spending nurturing our own truth, our own authentic selves.
So it's not just about what we're missing out on, it's about what we're actively losing.
Yeah. And often these borrowed truths, they make these really demanding claims on our attention. They keep us focused on the wrong things, chasing the wrong goals.
So, like, we're constantly distracted, constantly trying to live up to these external standards that might not even align with what truly matters to us. We're exhausted, but we don't even know why.
Right. And, the book gets really real about why people might unconsciously buy into this borrowed truth syndrome. And some of the reasons are well, they're a little uncomfortable.
Whoa, lay it on me. I can handle it.
Okay, so brace yourself. The book suggests that sometimes it's about selfishness.
Selfishness. Okay, how so?
Well, it's easier,
Yeah.
right? It's easier to just accept what we've been told than to actually do the hard work of self-reflection. It's easier to just go along with the crowd than to figure out what we really believe, what really matters to us.
Okay. Yeah, I see that. It takes courage to question those deeply held beliefs.
It does. And then the book also talks about laziness.
Laziness. Ouch, that one hits close to home.
Right. But it's true. Sometimes we just don't want to put in the effort. It's easier to just stick with the status quo, to not rock the boat, than to challenge those established norms, even if we suspect they might not be true for us.
I'm definitely guilty of that sometimes.
Me too.
Hmm.
And then the last reason the book gives is this tendency to, just readily accept the authority of the source of that truth.
So, like, if it comes from our parents or our teachers or some expert, we just automatically assume it must be true.
Right. We don't question it. We don't think critical about it. We just take it in and accept it as truth.
Wow.
But the author is urging us to do the opposite. They're basically saying, hey, demand a recall on those beliefs.
Demand a recall. I love it.
Right. Don't just blindly accept what you've been told. Take those beliefs out for a test drive. See how they feel. See if they actually align with who you are, with your own experiences and values.
And that's where this whole war between your truth and borrowed truth really starts to play out.
Exactly. Because as you start to live more authentically, as you start to align your actions with your own truth, you're going to encounter resistance. And that resistance can come from both inside and outside of you.
Okay, so talk to me about that. What does that resistance actually look like?
Well, internally, you might feel this, I don't know, this unease as you start to challenge those long-held beliefs. It can be scary to let go of what's familiar, even if it's not serving you. And externally, you might get pushback from other people, especially from people who benefit from you sticking to those borrowed truths.
Oh, that's interesting. So, like, if we start questioning those borrowed truths, other people might feel threatened, like their own truth is being challenged.
Exactly. Think about those classic phrases that are often used to shut down questioning and critical thinking. Things like, because I said so, or I'm your mother, I know best, or that's the way we've always done it.
Ugh, I hate those phrases. They just shut down the conversation.
I know. But there are classic examples of how borrowed truth tries to maintain its power. It doesn't want to be questioned. It doesn't want to be challenged.
And the book actually points back to childhood for this one. They say that even as kids, we have these moments where our own inner voice, our own inherent truth, starts to push back against those borrowed truths.
Right. Like even when we're little, there's this part of us that knows when something isn't quite right.
Even if we don't have the words to explain it, even if we don't fully understand it, there's this feeling, this instinct that tells us something's off.
Exactly. And the book suggests that those moments, those are the first little battles in this ongoing war between your truth and borrowed truth.
So even as kids, we're already fighting for our own authenticity, even if we don't realize it.
Right. And that fight, it continues throughout our lives. And the author, they have this beautiful way of putting it. They say, your truth has been waiting to exhale. It's been there all along, maybe suppressed, maybe ignored, but just waiting for us to acknowledge it, to give it space to breathe.
Okay, that image just gave me chills.
Yeah.
Because it's so true, right? It's like this part of us is longing to be free, to be expressed, to be fully realized.
And the book really emphasizes how much we need our truth to be set free. Like, it's not just about this abstract concept of truth. It's about our own well-being, our own happiness, our own fulfillment.
So it's like this symbiotic relationship. Our truth needs us to set it free, and we need it to be free in order to live our best lives.
Exactly. And then the book poses this really powerful question, which I think is worth sitting with for a moment. What would your life look like if you were to truly win this war against borrowed truth?
Ooh, that's a good one. What if we could silence those external voices, those limiting beliefs, and just fully embrace our own truth? What would be possible then?
Right. What doors would open? What dreams would we dare to pursue? What kind of impact could we have on the world?
Okay, I'm ready to win this war. Sign me up.
Me too. And to help us win, the book gives us this incredible description of your truth. It says that your truth is relentless in its pursuit of authenticity. It's powerful, transformative, truly amazing in its potential.
Okay, I'm starting to feel that inherent greatness you were talking about.
Right. And your truth is something that brings a deep sense of remembrance. It's like when we connect with our truth, we remember who we really are. It guides us, leads us to new discoveries about ourselves and the world. And it's totally unique to each of us. No two truths are exactly alike.
That's beautiful. So it's not about conforming to some external standard. It's about embracing our own individuality, our own unique perspective.
Exactly. And the book contrasts this with the potential for unhappiness, uncertainty, that sense of living a life that's just, I don't know, off key when we're stuck in borrowed truth.
Okay, so we're starting to really understand the importance of not only identifying those borrowed truths, but also of actively challenging them, dismantling them, and creating space for our own truth to emerge.
Right. And that brings us to the next section of the book, which is all about transformational conditioning.
Transformational conditioning. Okay, I'm intrigued. What is that all about?
Well, it's essentially about consciously cultivating certain qualities within ourselves, qualities that allow our truth to flourish. Things like deep honesty, real courage to be authentic, genuine openness to new perspectives, the strength to be vulnerable, and a radical acceptance of our own imperfections.
Wow, that's a tall order, but it sounds incredibly liberating.
It is. It's about creating an internal environment where our true selves can not only survive, but thrive. And it's a huge shift away from trying to uphold this flawless facade that we often feel pressured to present to the world.
Right, like that whole fake it till you make it mentality.
Exactly. But transformational conditioning is about embracing the messy, beautiful reality of who we actually are. Imperfections and all, it's about ditching those borrowed truths about how we should be perceived and instead celebrating our authentic selves.
Okay, I am so here for that. Because honestly, who has the energy to maintain a perfect facade all the time? It's exhausting.
Yeah, I know, right? And it's not even real. I mean, the book actually calls out this whole trend of people portraying these perfect lives on social media and elsewhere.
Oh, don't even get me started on social media. It's like everyone's living their best life, except for me, of course. But deep down, we all know it's not real. It's just a curated highlight reel.
Exactly. And your truth, it allows us to acknowledge the brokenness, the imperfections, the struggles that we all experience, the things that we've often been taught to hide away in shame. But the book argues that it's in those imperfections, in those vulnerabilities, that we find our true strength.
Okay, that's a powerful reframe. So it's not about pretending we have it all together. It's about being real, being honest, being open about our humanness.
Right. And the author is careful to point out that conditioning itself isn't inherently bad. I mean, we all need some degree of conditioning to function in society.
Right, like learning to share, not interrupt, say please and thank you, basic stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it becomes problematic when our conditioning takes control, when it starts dictating our core beliefs and thoughts, especially when those beliefs and thoughts go against our own inner truth. That's when we end up in this state of, like, unaware conformity. We're just going along with the crowd without even thinking about it.
So awareness is key here. Being consciously aware of the environment we're in, the people we surround ourselves with, the messages we're constantly bombarded with.
Absolutely, because we're constantly absorbing things from our surroundings. Whether we realize it or not, we're being influenced by the people we spend time with, the media we consume, the culture we live in.
And the book reminds us of that powerful idea from Romans 12.2 about being transformed by the renewing of our minds.
Right, and that's a continuous process. It's about actively choosing to question our beliefs, to challenge our assumptions, to be open to new perspectives. It's about recognizing that we have the right to think for ourselves, to form our own opinions, to interpret our experiences through our own unique lens.
So it's not about rejecting everything we've been taught. It's about being more discerning, more intentional, more conscious about what we choose to believe and why.
Exactly. And one of the most liberating things about this transformational conditioning, it's that it shatters the myth of having to have it all together. Like, we don't need to be perfect to be worthy, to be loved, to be successful.
Thank goodness for that, because I
Right.
don't know anyone who actually has it all together.
Me neither. And the book encourages us to question those unrealistic goals that we often set for ourselves. Those goals that are often based on, external standards and expectations. And instead, it invites us to embrace a new sense of boldness, a willingness to be ourselves, even if it means making mistakes, even if it means not having all the answers.
Okay, I'm feeling that boldness already. Bring it on.
Right. And, the book uses this really interesting analogy to describe this state of being. They talk about Adam and Eve being naked but not ashamed.
Naked but not ashamed. Okay, that's a powerful image.
It is. And I think it really captures the essence of what transformational conditioning is all about. It's about being completely open, vulnerable, authentic, without feeling the need to hide or pretend or apologize for who we are.
So it's about accepting ourselves fully, flaws and all, And the book suggests that when we do that, when we reach that level of self-acceptance, our need for external validation, that constant craving for approval and acceptance from others, it starts to diminish.
Exactly. We become less dependent on what other people think and more grounded in our own sense of worth,
Mhm.
which is, incredibly freeing.
But the book is honest about the fact that this is unfamiliar territory for a lot of us. We've been conditioned to seek approval, to fit in, to not rock the boat. So embracing our own truth, it can feel scary, like we're stepping out into the unknown.
It can, and the book acknowledges that. But it also reminds us that this truth, this authentic self, it's not something foreign or alien to us. It's actually our most natural state. It's who we were always meant to be.
So it's like we're coming home to ourselves.
Exactly. And the book links that lack of courage, that feeling of intimidation, back to the battle we were talking about earlier, that ongoing struggle between your truth and borrowed truth. It's like those external voices, those limiting beliefs, they're constantly trying to hold us back, to keep us small, to prevent us from fully stepping into our power.
And the author even brings in another biblical reference here. This time it's Matthew 7:13, which talks about the broad and the narrow way.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
And they suggest that choosing to conform to those borrowed truths, it's like choosing the broad, well-worn path. It's comfortable, it's familiar, but it might not actually lead us where we want to go. Whereas choosing the path of authenticity, of your truth, that's more like the narrow way. It's less traveled, it's more challenging, but it ultimately leads to greater fulfillment and true freedom.
Exactly. And, the author has this way of, like, directly speaking to the reader, which I find really
Oh,
engaging.
yeah, I love that. It feels very personal, like they're right there with us, guiding us along.
Totally. And at this point in the book, they say something like, if you've read this far, it means you're already reflecting on this process of transformation. Like you're already on the path, even if you're just starting to explore these ideas.
And that's encouraging, right? Because, I mean, we're not alone in this. There are other people out there who are also questioning, exploring, seeking their own truth.
Absolutely. And ultimately, this transformational conditioning, it's about allowing our inner light to shine. It's about having the courage to acknowledge our flaws and struggles, not as something to be ashamed of, but as part of what makes us unique, what makes us human. And that act of self-acceptance, it's a huge step in setting our truth free.
Okay, so we've journeyed through borrowed truth. We've talked about the internal war we might face. We've explored the power of transformational conditioning. And now the book takes us into this fascinating realm of your experience truth. And this is something I think a lot of us overlook, right?
Absolutely. We tend to focus so much on, like, the big events, the milestones, the successes and failures. But our day-to-day experiences, the seemingly small moments, they shape us just as much, if not more.
And the book really emphasizes how those experiences, both the good and the bad, they're not just random events. They're actually incredibly valuable. They're assets, gifts that help us grow and learn and become who we're meant to be.
I love that reframe because so often we resist our experiences, especially the painful,